At Freightliner Corporation, no truck is designed all at once. Each model is constantly upgraded and improved. What happens then when a new engineering idea comes off the drawing board? New designs must work their way through the changeover system before they reach the actual production stage. Although the changeover system involves many different people and departments, it is manufacturing release that coordinates its operation. It all begins when ideas for new designs are accepted by engineering in Portland, Charlotte, or West Germany. Regardless of where the ideas originate, it is engineering that creates the blueprints, builds the first mock-ups, and conducts the testing to prove the fit, function, and durability of the design. Engineering indicates how the new design affects current parts and bills of material, as well as which new items will be introduced. Engineering information is communicated to manufacturing release in several different forms. This data, needed by everyone involved in the manufacturing process, is interpreted and coded by manufacturing release, then printed on the Production Part Schedule, or PPS. The PPS is the primary means of communication among the various departments during the entire changeover process. The PPS is continually updated as each department obtains new information about the part, including its status and estimated usage, tooling and piece part costs, milestone scheduling dates, and the disposition of old parts. From the PPS information and blueprints forwarded by manufacturing release, the people in manufacturing engineering determine whether the part is to be made at Freightliner or by an outside vendor. This sets in motion activity in QA, purchasing, and manufacturing engineering. Corporate quality assurance uses the make-buy decision to determine which blueprints have been released by engineering. Corporate QA engineers identify the critical characteristics for the initial sample inspection, choose which Freightliner plant will inspect the purchased parts, and determine what new equipment may be needed for ongoing QA inspection of the part. Corporate purchasing and manufacturing engineering are notified by QA of the inspection criteria through the Initial Sample Inspection Report, the ISIR. Also, after the make-buy decision is determined, the corporate purchasing department is set in motion by receipt of the blueprints forwarded by manufacturing engineering and the information in the PPS. Purchasing sends the prints to a number of vendors for a bidding process. A primary supplier is selected and QA samples are ordered. The initial samples of the new part are made and inspected by the vendor based on the criteria established on the ISIR. The vendor then sends the ISIR and the initial samples to the predetermined plant for Freightliner inspection. If the decision was to make the part, manufacturing engineering decides which Freightliner plant will make it and what tooling will be required. Manufacturing engineering chooses an outside vendor to make the tooling and the initial samples for QA. The process sheet is used by the Freightliner plant that will make the part to offer suggestions on what tools and processes are necessary to produce it. The manufacture of non-tooled parts is handled directly by the parts plants. The production of QA samples is scheduled. Tooled or non-tooled, all Freightliner make parts are inspected by QA at the manufacturing plant which produces them. All new parts, whether made by Freightliner or purchased from vendors, must comply with the blueprint specifications. All information obtained during the entire QA process is added to the PPS. As each inspection is completed, the results, via the ISIR, are sent back to the buyer or the manufacturing engineer responsible for that sample part. If QA does not give its approval to the samples, then the engineer responsible for the design is called back in to help resolve the inconsistency. If QA approval is given, the samples are usually sent to the manufacturing engineering shop for the production tryout. The sample parts are assembled for installation on the prototype vehicles. The manufacturing engineering shop usually performs the production tryout, but the truck plants may also choose to build pre-series vehicles to try the new design. Representatives from engineering, manufacturing, QA, and a truck plant all witness and approve the installation on the production tryout. The prototype report is completed and sent to manufacturing release. This report includes information from the production tryout regarding adjustments to the production line needed to implement the new design. Now that the production tryout is completed and approved, the original design, likely consisting of many different parts, becomes a totality. One project. Manufacturing release switches from the processes that involve individual parts to treating the entire engineering design as a single unit. Changeover meetings are held regularly to discuss problems which occur and to find solutions to them. Difficulties can range from failure of the part to pass QA inspection, to problems with the tooling, to additional engineering revisions required after the project is thought to be complete. The role of manufacturing release is to coordinate all of the efforts aimed at solving these problems. Once the new part has successfully completed all of these preliminary stages, manufacturing release uses the PPS to set and communicate a changeover date, the day the new design will first be put on production vehicles. A comprehensive packet of information, which has been developed during the changeover process, is now finalized for distribution by manufacturing release. This packet, called the Manufacturing Implementation Project, or MIP, includes a description of the new design, a list of the affected parts, and information used for order translation. Copies of the MIP are sent to all departments affected by design change. The receipt of the MIP 4 to 6 weeks before the changeover date triggers additional activity. Truck specifications are changed by the people responsible for translating sales orders into buildable trucks. Shop broadcast is alerted by the spec changes. Requirements for the new parts are also generated by the computer to material planning. Reducing inventories of the old parts and procuring the new ones is the primary role of the people in corporate material planning. They are responsible for keeping the level of obsolescent inventories as low as possible. This often becomes a delicate balancing act because inventories can get too low if problems develop in the manufacturing of the new parts. Disposition of the old parts happens at the same time as orders are being placed for the new parts. Due dates and order quantities are established. The vendors and our parts manufacturing plants go into high gear, setting up the final routings for the parts, finalizing equipment needs, and adjusting manufacturing processes. Manufacturing release continues to monitor and coordinate the entire process and to revise the changeover date if necessary. New parts are due at the truck plants about 2 weeks before the changeover date to allow time for adjustments in the production line. New bins may be needed. New equipment, such as hand tools, may be required to install the new parts. Line supervisors must be informed of the changes. Fixturing is double-checked for compatibility. Assembly line personnel may need to be trained for new procedures. Old parts are moved out and the new stock brought in to begin the installment process on a specific vehicle. Anyone who has participated in the changeover system knows that this program has covered the best possible flow of a changeover project. Because the changeover process is so complex, problems are inevitable, which is precisely why manufacturing release and the changeover system exist. To coordinate the activities of the many participants in the system and to help solve the problems. We can improve the system with the knowledge we gain. The changeover system has evolved over a period of years, handling over 8,000 new parts each year. Implementing a new design is one way we meet our main objective at Freightliner, the production of quality vehicles to meet the needs of our customers. Changeovers happen best when the step-by-step procedures we've outlined in this program are followed by everyone involved. It is an excellent process that requires the efforts of each individual. People who make the changeover process work. People like you.